Are you incredibly distracted like I am? I spend morning until night fighting this feeling that I can't grasp onto anything longer than maybe a minute. Well, you're not alone if you feel that way. And it's something that I think a lot of us are struggling with. This song of the week is covering that exact feeling. In fact, it's a new song by Macklemore, and it's called Lost/Sun Comes Up. In it, he talks about this struggle and really what we're all kind of chasing. As he says here in the song, we just stare at memes, laugh, and we hit the next one. And that really hits hard. In fact, the chorus is him just singing, scroll, refresh, turn it off. Now do it again. That's the dance now. Scroll, refresh, turn it off. Now do it again. That's the dance now. That's really rough. I know that I want something better for my days, and I know that the more distracted I am, the less likely I am to be making progress on the things I really want. The things I really want are to complete a marathon, to launch a successful podcast, to grow Super Awesome Mix into a successful business where I could work for it full time, to have a loving family and great relationship, to be present with my friends and family, to write more, to spend more time with my dog in the park. All of these things that make me feel much more connected to life than staring at a screen and scrolling, refreshing, and doing all over again. What's happening here is that we're in kind of what is known as an evolutionary trap. So evolutionary traps are when we were programmed to do something kind of through evolution because it helped us stay alive. So our brains are more attuned to it, and in fact, it served us. So as an example, I'll use, what's kind of happening with the rise of obesity. Sugars and fats were never really all that present for most of human life. And so anytime you would interact with them or you'd get the chance to eat a sugar or a fat, you would eat it and it would be amazing and it's highly rewarding because your body needed that and it craved it. Now, thanks to a lot of advancement in food technology and farming and capitalism and all of these things, for better or for worse, we have a huge amount of access to sugars and fats. And so we eat a lot of them. And it takes a lot of self-control and it takes a lot of knowledge and persistence to try to avoid falling into that trap. The evolutionary trap with attention is that we seek information to help keep us alive. We are programmed to want to know things that are going on and want to stay connected to people. It forms a sense of community in our brains, at least. Like that's kind of what's happening. We want to stay connected. We want to know what people are doing. We want to be entertained because for a long stretch of time, the only entertainment was kind of sitting around a campfire, exchanging stories, or maybe not even that prior to the time when language was really developed. So now we have these devices and we have apps like Instagram and TikTok and Snapchat and Twitter that can give us literally an endless amount of new information constantly all day long. And that's not even counting things like television and texting and emails and all the other things that can come in and present information to our brains, and our brains crave it. We want the information. We are programmed to want it. The part of our brain that is the most advanced that's kind of seeking this stuff is the prefrontal cortex. That's like the kind of the sports engine of your brain, if you will. It's a highly tuned machine. It is capable of a lot of magnificent things. It's our reasoning brain. It's our logical brain. It's really, again, what most separates us from a lot of other animals. But it is overused, and I use the analogy of taking a sports engine, putting it in first gear, and just hitting the gas and never shifting. You never shift out of first gear. And if you have a car and have driven a car, you know what will happen, right? You're going to burn your engine out. You're also spending a lot of fuel doing that because first engine is a highly inefficient gear to be held for a very long time. It's just a really good gear to get a lot of energy fast. That's exactly what's happening with a lot of these apps and a lot of these things and modern really luxuries, because that's what they are, they're luxuries, but modern luxuries that are taking over our brains. And we are programmed to keep wanting more of it. And I have found that my entire day is just distraction because I seek it. And even if I put my phone in another room, I find that I'm thinking about it and I kind of want to go check it. And it's not until about, if I can get to an hour or two where I haven't picked up my phone, that I start to feel a little bit calmer and I don't necessarily think about it as long, and I don't think about it as long. And then I kind of forget that it even is in the other room and I'm doing something else and having a great time. But then all it takes is, let's say a phone call comes in, because usually I allow a phone call to come in just in case my family needs me or something like that. So I'll go into the other room, pick up my phone, talk on the phone, and now I'm drawn to check notifications and I'm right back in it and the loop restarts, just as Macklemore sings. Do it all over again. What we really need to learn to do is try to eliminate as many distractions as we can, and at least be more mindful of them. I have found success personally by trying to limit the number of times that I will go check Instagram or scroll around and be entertained by it. I'll have windows of time where usually it's like late morning, so I generally try to avoid my phone first thing in the morning. And then maybe late morning, right before I start work, I might do it. Or maybe after an hour or two of focused work, I'll pick it up. But then again, I put it away and I do my best to ignore it. And then not until evening do I pick it up again and scroll one more time and see if there's anything interesting. And then I put it away and that's it. That has not been easy. But the payoff is enormous. Because in between those two sessions, I am spending a lot of my time doing things that I actually want to be doing. I'm spending time with friends, I'm spending time with family, I'm working on this podcast, I am journaling, I'm meditating, I am walking my dog, I'm calling people and doing my best to just be on the phone and call them and not be on the phone and distracted doing something else. I've been cooking a lot more. I've genuinely been enjoying my life a lot more, even though arguably I'm less connected and have less information than I did before. But I really question that because I don't feel like I have less information. If anything, I feel that I'm more focused on the information I do get. And I'm much more present with all of it. And I'm happier, to be honest. This is not an easy thing to achieve. And I struggle with it week after week. It is a daily thing, in fact, of trying to fight the urge to pick up my phone and scroll through things mindlessly. If you're like me, sometimes you are just holding your phone like it's a security blanket and you're not even really doing anything on it, and you know you could just put it down, but for some reason I'm comforted by having it in my hand. And that is our evolution kind of playing against us, unfortunately. And more than that, it's also the makers of these apps. They have been shown to use research and use a lot of these things against us and design these tools and these apps to be addictive. This week's episode really is just all about being more mindful of it. I think that's step one. Try to be mindful this week. How often are you picking up your phone? If you have a screen time feature on it, like an iPhone, see how many pickups you had in the last week. See if you can beat it by 5% this next week. See if you notice a difference by not picking up your phone or not reaching for it as you might do it. Or don't even try to make the difference yet. Just count it. Just count the number of times you pick up your phone, even if it's like mentally or on a little scratch pad where you can add a little tick mark. And you'll be amazed. I certainly was whenever I first started doing this. It's kind of shocking. That's always step one. Step one is awareness of you doing an action, and then you can take it from there. So that is my challenge to all of you this week, is to just try to notice how often are you reaching for something that's distracting when maybe you don't need to. I think you'll find that that is one of the strongest ways to start to build motivation for the things that do matter, because you're giving your prefrontal cortex, you're giving your sport engine part of your brain some cool down time. And just like any engine needs, it needs a time to cool down, and you need to let kind of the bigger, older part of your brain kick in. You know, those are like the high gears, let's call them, kick in and take you coasting for a bit. Because in those coasting times is when you can really relax, and I think that that's when creativity and a lot of our power is unleashed. I hope you have an amazing week ahead and one filled with not distractions, but working towards your goals and progress and feeling good. And I will see you next Tuesday.